Hello and welcome back to another edition of Saint Spotlight. Today I have Josh Ostertag from Thomas Morris Campus Ministry, graduate in 2020. Thank you so much for joining us today, Josh.
It's a pleasure to be here, David.
So, starting off, as a student, what led you to Thomas More University?
So I was a transfer student. So my first year of undergrad, I was in Columbus, Ohio. And then I was transferring, and I'm from Northern Kentucky, and some of it was convenience. I moved back in with my parents and stayed at home, and Thomas More was within 20 minutes, a 20-minute drive, so I commuted. But also I was attracted to the small liberal arts, the local, as well as the Catholic tradition, because I wanted to study theology. And so part of it was circumstantial, but then also providential too. I'm really glad I did come here. So.
Right on. And I relate to you. I actually transferred my freshman year as well to Thomas More, and it was the best decision I ever made in that scheme of college admissions and things of the sort. So I'm glad that we have you. And speaking of which, can you describe your time as an undergrad? What were you involved with on campus, and what were your top 3 memories?
So in terms of being involvement on campus, really I was here mainly focused on academics. So I really put a lot of effort into my classes, and I enjoy the intellectual life, so I enjoyed classwork. I majored in theology, and I also minored in history and philosophy. And so I think a lot of my favorite memories were really interactions in the classroom, especially with the professors as well. Theology was a pretty neat discipline because we had it's not too many majors in the theology department, so I got to do a lot of work. Really one-on-one with professors, which is a great opportunity to really basically do independent studies. It's great, and then some of the class sizes were pretty small, and so it allowed for student interaction to be fruitful as well. And then also some other professors, and one particular professor, James McNutt. My interactions with him were very influential in my life. He's kind of the reason I went on to graduate studies. Just because of his encouragement and his working with me, and I had several history classes with him. And then also I was involved in campus ministry when I was a student here. And some of the best moments for that was just the access, having the chapel in the center of campus, a place to pray, a place to access the sacraments, going to daily mass. So those were some of my top highlights.
Right on. Professor McNutt was an amazing history professor. I always loved having him in class, and can definitely see how someone like that can help motivate someone to go through with another 2 years of school like that. And the campus, the chapel being open 24/7 on campus is like one of the best highlights as well, just for the safety and peace of mind that it provides here on campus. So what drew you towards theology and studying it?
I guess to answer that, I'll start in high school. So in high school, I guess my sophomore year was the year I received confirmation, the sacrament of confirmation, and that really sparked in me. I didn't notice it at the time, but really I think it was God's grace moving in me to really just love the Catholic faith and the Catholic Church, and to pursue it. So I started getting involved in youth ministry, high school youth ministry when I was in high school, as well as like different Bible studies. And ultimately, so when I was searching for colleges, I didn't know what I wanted to study. I had just assumed, because of my academic track record, I was like, oh, I'll do something like engineering or medicine, because those are like prestigious fields. But then as I was visiting universities, I didn't really know what I wanted to study, and I didn't feel quite at home until I went with a priest in the diocese to a seminary in Columbus. And it was at the seminary that I really felt at home. So I entered seminary for my first year of undergrad. And so there you're studying philosophy and theology, and I just fell in love with those disciplines as a really just personal interest. I was interested in it. It's what I wanted to do. It's what I loved. And there was no practical element really to it. It wasn't like, oh, I wanted to study this so I can get this job. It was just studying it for the sake of loving it. And so after I had discerned out of seminary and transferred to Thomas More, I wanted to continue studying those things. And and then ultimately, again, love of the intellectual life and love of theology led me to getting a graduate degree in theology as well.
Right on. Well, I can tell there's a lot of passion and learning for that, and everything that you get out of theology is what you can give back into the world as well.
Yeah.
So what were some of your highlights from your first year as working as assistant director of campus ministry?
Yeah, so highlights. After I got my graduate degree, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And then this job opened, and it seemed like something that would be interesting to me. I was wanting to do something in the field of ministry or teaching theology. And I think I just love working with college students. Like being at beyond secondary education is something that I've just really enjoyed, is building relationships with students, meeting new students, as well as part of my job is recruitment, and so I get to go into high schools as well and tell them about Thomas More, about campus ministry, about the Bishop Foys Scholarship. And so I kind of get the best of both worlds. I get to work with high school students as well as college students. Then I also get to see, it's exciting, this incoming class of students. A lot of them I've met at their high schools. I've met at different admissions events on campus. And so I'll get to see them come into Thomas More and then just see them throughout the years here. And it's really a great privilege to build relationships with them. As well as a highlight of the first year is seeing students get passionate and involved on campus. Because almost all of the programming, the events that we do is all run by students. And so seeing students find something they're interested in and just run with it is great. And so we're hoping to build on that momentum.
Right on. I know they put on some great events like those Night of Worship and everything that you guys host in the actual chapel itself. Is there anything that you are looking forward to in year two?
Yeah, so I think year two now is continuing to build and ride that momentum that we've formed with the current students. But then also we have a great incoming class right now. It's around 50 Bishop Foys scholars, and so these are students that we're looking to take their passion for the faith, their passion for ministry, because a lot of these students are doing campus ministry in their high schools, and so really taking what they love, finding what they love, what they're passionate about, and having them bring that here to campus to enliven campus, build a sense of community within campus ministry, to get more students involved. And so I think year two is it feels much more ambitious than year one. Year one was very settling in, getting used to the flow of things, but now it's coming to the point where I remember, I'm like, oh, last year we did this, last year this happened, I know how the year runs, and so we're going to be able to, I think, do more things to engage more students and hopefully provide a more holistic and qualitative experience for the students.
Right on. So in your field of theology and studying it, how do you apply your theological values to your life?
Yeah, so one of the classic definitions of theology is faith seeking understanding. And that's something that I find very relevant to my life. Like I mentioned, the study of theology was more just something about my passion and desire to do it. And so I've been Catholic my whole life. I was baptized as a baby, I grew up in it, and so I think I was given that gift of faith at a very young age and from my parents. And then wanting to understand it more, because I love the faith, I love God, and to be able to understand it more. And I think applying that to my life, really it starts with the foundation of prayer and reliance on the sacraments and God's grace. To love and know something, you have to spend time with it. And so to know God, to love God, you have to spend time in the dialogue of prayer. And that's really, I'd say that's the foundation of applying the theological principles in my life. Then I get into, there would be other things as well. I think one of the most important ones is I've been married for almost 2 years, and really having like a hierarchy of values. So really like recognizing like my vocation, my calling in life is primarily to be a husband and now a father. I have a 10-month-old daughter. To be a husband and a father, and like that takes precedence over anything else. And it's like in that, doing that duty, that responsibility, it's really like applying the values that I have. And then I'd say a third thing of applying the values would be really to see Christ in other people and to be Christ to other people. Because that's what the Christian life's about, is being conformed to Jesus and really having his virtues live in you, and to be able to interact with people and with kindness and humility and compassion. And so that's another thing I try to do, and I hope I do.
Well, I certainly, just from really even talking with you and seeing how you conduct yourself with students on campus, very much a passion, a fruit of the Spirit that I see, and you very much are able to provide to the community that type of support that I'm sure everyone appreciates. So thank you for being that and doing so. Lastly, what advice do you have for current students?
Yeah, advice I give to students all the time is to find your niche, find what you're interested in, and get involved. The only regret I have of my time in undergrad was not being involved enough, because I think what you put in is what you get out. So what you put into your experience here as a student is going to make your experience better, and I think that's going to be different things for different people. It could be your academics, it could be a club or student government or your work study or something, but finding really what you're interested in and just going for it, and that makes such a great experience. And then another piece of advice I would give is to really engage like in the mission of our university, to not allow your education to simply just be a step, like a jumping point to a job. I think that's really important, of course. You need a job to live, but I think education is so much more than about what it does for you, but also about what it does to you, about how your education can transform you interiorly to make you a better person. And those things that we talk about all the time, in the mission, the meaning of life, your place in the world, and your responsibility to others. Really actually grappling with those and engaging with those, and discovering it in all the disciplines of academics, from the natural sciences to the fine arts to the languages, everything, to really engage truth, finding truth where it's found, and seeing how that relates to the bigger picture of your life and your life in the world.
Right on. That is, truer words can't be spoken. The mission statement and everything that Thomas More is able to help provide is such a, you're like you said, this is a stepping stone for a reason. You might as well grow and put everything you can into it so you can take the most out once you finally are over with it all. So you certainly have been doing that and taking advantage of it, and I hope that you continue to be a great light here for campus ministry and everyone on campus. And thank you all back home for joining us for another edition of Saint Spotlights. Be sure to tune into the next one. See you around.